Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed? The harder you try to attract money, the more it seems to drift just out of reach? You think about it. You plan for it. You might even whisper a few hopeful affirmations into the air. And yet, your bank account behaves as though it didn't get the memo. Curious, isn't it? Florence Scovel Shinn would say this is not a failure of effort, but a misunderstanding of law. Because money, like everything else, responds not to need, but to expectation. And expectation, my dear listener, is not something you say once and forget. It is something you become. Now here is where most people go wrong. They search for things like how to manifest money quickly, or how to attract money fast, hoping for a technique, a trick, a hidden shortcut. And yes, there are techniques, but Florence would smile gently and say, "You cannot receive what you feel unworthy to hold." A little confronting, perhaps, but liberating too, because it means the block is not out there in the world. It is simply a pattern, ready to be replaced. And that is where the spoken word comes in. Florence taught something very simple, yet very powerful. Your words are not idle, they are not decorative, they are commands. Now imagine for a moment, if every word you spoke about money was being taken as instruction, not suggestion, instruction. Suddenly, those little phrases we casually throw around begin to matter. I can't afford that. Money is tight. It's always a struggle. If those are commands, what do you suppose they produce? Exactly, more of the same. And this is where we bring in something Florence called substitution. You do not fight the old thought, you replace it. Gently, consistently, almost playfully. Think of it like this. If your mind were a rather opinionated but slightly confused assistant, you wouldn't argue with it all day. You would simply give it better instructions. Now, I promised you something practical, something you can use today. So here it is. Not a long list, not a complicated ritual, just one sentence. But before I give it to you, I want you to understand this. You are not asking for money with this phrase. You are aligning with the reality where it already flows. And that is a very different position to stand in. Now, here's the sentence. I am open to the endless flow of money in my life. Simple, almost deceptively so. But don't underestimate simplicity. It often carries the most power. Now, here's what I'd like you to do. Type that sentence in the comments below. Yes, really. Write it out in full. I am open to the endless flow of money in my life. Not as a wish, not as a test, but as a quiet decision. And as you do, notice how it feels. Because that feeling is the beginning of the shift. Now you might be wondering, can something this simple really make a difference? Florence would answer with a gentle laugh, because she saw time and time again that life does not respond to complexity. It responds to clarity and conviction. When you repeat a phrase like this, especially with calm certainty, something subtle begins to happen. You stop pushing money away with doubt. You stop chasing it with desperation. And instead, you create space for it. Opportunities begin to appear. Ideas arrive at curious moments. People say things that suddenly matter. And no, it does not always happen in a dramatic overnight windfall. Although those stories do exist, more often, it feels like doors quietly opening, the kind you might have missed before. Now, here is something important. Do not keep checking for results every 5 minutes like a nervous investor refreshing a stock app. That, I'm afraid, sends quite the opposite message. Instead, carry the phrase lightly. Repeat it when it comes to mind. And more importantly, behave as though it were already true. Because that is the real secret behind what people search for when they type, how to raise your vibration for wealth. It is not about forcing yourself into excitement. It is about resting in quiet certainty. So today, you've taken the first step. You've spoken the words. You've planted the seed. Now let it grow, in its own way, in its own time. And if this resonated with you, here's something I'd love you to do. Write the phrase again in the comments. I'm open to the endless flow of money in my life. Not just once, but each time you return to this video, let it become a small ritual, a signal to yourself that you are no longer chasing money. You are allowing it. And remember, if this video resonated with you, give it a like and subscribe so that we can continue this journey together.